Hi friends, my name is Nandita. I am from Andhra Pradesh.
Good morning dear students. Today we are going to discuss about materials, metals and non-metals from Chapter 4, Class 8, CBSE syllabus. Children, let us discuss about non-metals. Elements that lack the attributes of metals are called non-metals. Non-metals are good insulators of heat and electricity. They are mostly gaseous and liquids. Some non-metals are solid at room temperature. Example: carbon, sulfur and phosphorus. Children, some common non-metals are shown in the image below. Let us study. List of common non-metals are hydrogen, state is gas and it's colorless. Nitrogen, state in the form of gas and it is also colorless. Oxygen, the state comes under the gas and colorless. Fluorine, state is gas and color comes under colorless. Chlorine, state comes under gas and greenish yellow color. Bromine, the state is comes under liquid and color comes reddish brown color. Iodine, its solid state, it looks in grayish brown color. Carbon, it's in solid state and it looks in gray color. Phosphorus, it is in solid state and it looks waxy yellow color. Sulfur, solid state and it looks yellow color. Children, let us discuss the physical properties of nonmetals. The various physical properties of the nonmetals are: nonmetals are the poor conductors of heat and electricity. A notable exception is graphite, which is a good conductor of heat and electricity. Nonmetals are not ductile in nature except for the carbon nanotube, which is ductile in nature. Non-metals are not malleable and they are brittle, that is, they break when hit a hammer or when force is applied. Non-metals are not lustrous as they do not have any shiny appearance. Non-metals do not produce a deep ringing sound when they are hit with another metal, thus they are not sonorous. Children, let us see the appearance of non-metals. Non-metals are dull in appearance and they are present in different colors. For example, sulfur is yellow, phosphorus is white or red, graphite is black, chlorine is yellowish green, bromine is red brown, whereas hydrogen and oxygen are colorless. Children, let us see the physical state of non-metals. Non-metals can be exist in all the three types of physical states like solids, liquids and gases. For example, carbon, sulfur and phosphorus are solid. In non-metals, bromine is a liquid in non-metals, whereas hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen and chlorine are gaseous non-metals. Diamond is a non-metal and it is the hardest substance known. Children, let us see the melting points of nonmetals. Nonmetals have comparatively low melting points and boiling points. This means that nonmetals melt and evaporate at comparatively low temperatures. For example, sulfur is a nonmetal having a low melting point of 119 degrees centigrade. The majority of nonmetals have very low boiling points, due to which they exist as gases at room temperature. Only one non-metal, graphite, has a very high melting point, that is 3700 degrees centigrade. Children, let us see the hardness of nonmetals. Nonmetals are generally soft. Most of the solid nonmetals are quite soft. They can be easily cut with a knife. For example, sulfur and phosphorus are solid nonmetals which are quite soft and can be easily cut with a knife. Except only one non-metal, carbon, in the form of diamond is very hard. In fact, diamond, which is an allotropic form of carbon, is the hardest natural substance known. Tensile strength of nonmetals. Nonmetals are not strong. They have low tensile strength. This means that nonmetals cannot hold large weights. For example, graphite is a non-metal which is not strong. It has a low tensile strength. When a large weight is placed on a graphite sheet, it breaks. Children, let us see the densities of nonmetals. Nonmetals have low densities. This means that nonmetals are light substance. For example, sulfur is a solid nonmetal having a low density of 2 grams by is quite low. The density of gaseous nonmetal is very low. One nonmetal iodine has a higher density compared to other nonmetals. Malleability. Nonmetals are not malleable and are brittle. This means that nonmetals cannot be beaten into thin sheets with a hammer. Nonmetals break into small pieces when hammered. For example, sulfur and phosphorus are solids nonmetals which are not malleable. They cannot be beaten into thin sheets with a hammer. Thus, we cannot get thin sheets from nonmetals like sulfur and phosphorus. When we beaten with a hammer, they break into small pieces. Brittleness in a characteristic property of solid nonmetals. Children, let us discuss the ductility of nonmetals. Nonmetals are not ductile. This means that nonmetals cannot be drawn into wires. They are easily snapped on stretching. For example, sulfur and phosphorus, and they are not ductile. When they stretch, sulfur and phosphorus break into pieces and do not form wires. Thus, we cannot get wires from nonmetals. Lusterness. Nonmetals are not lustrous or not shiny. They are dull in appearance. Nonmetals do not have luster, which means that nonmetals do not have a shining surface. The solid nonmetals have a dull appearance. For example, sulfur and phosphorus are nonmetals which have no luster, that is, they do not have a shining surface, they appear to be dull. Iodine is a nonmetal having lustrous appearance. It has a shining surface like that of metals. Children, let us discuss the heat and electrical conductivity of nonmetals. Nonmetals are bad conductors of heat and electricity. This means that nonmetals do not allow heat and electricity to pass through them. For example, sulfur and phosphorus, which do not conduct heat or electricity. Many of nonmetals are in fact insulators. A form of the carbon element diamond is a nonmetal which is a good conductor of heat, and the other form of carbon element graphite is a nonmetal which is a good conductor of electricity. Being a good conductor of electricity, graphite is used for making electrodes, has that in dry cells. Sonority. Nonmetals are not sonorous. This means that solid nonmetals do not make a ringing sound when we strike them. Children, let us discuss the chemical properties of nonmetals. Nonmetals have various chemical properties. Some of the properties of nonmetals are listed below. Nonmetals are more reactive than metals. Nonmetals react with oxygen to form acidic oxide. Nonmetals react with other nonmetals at high temperatures. Children, let us discuss the uses and applications of nonmetals. You should be able to guess why metals are used in making machinery, automobiles, aeroplanes, trains, satellites, industrial gadgets, cooking utensils, water boilers, etc. You are so familiar with the uses of some nonmetals. There are here some interesting ones. We are sure that you will guess the right now. Nonmetals is essential for our life, which all the living beings inhale during breathing. Non-metal used in fertilizers to enhance the growth of plants. Non-metal used in water purification process. Non-metal used in the purple colored solution which is applied on wound as an antiseptic. Non-metal is used in crackers. You may add some more uses of non-metals also. Children, let us discuss various uses and applications of non-metals in our daily life. The respiration process is aided by oxygen, which is 21% by volume. It is also utilized to make steel and maintain a high temperature during the metal fabrication process. In the hospital, oxygen cylinders are used as a bleaching chemical. Chlorine is effective in eliminating stains and color patches. Chlorine is used to make a variety of polymers and pesticides. It aids with water filtration. Bacteria are killed when chlorine is added to drinking water. For scientific experiments, helium is employed as an intergas. weather balloon use it as well. Iodine is used as an antiseptic in treatment of wounds and cuts as well as in the treatment of throat infections. Fertilizers. Nitrogen is found in fertilizers. It aids in the growth of plants. It boosts the plant growth rate. Plants can also benefit from non-metallic phosphorus. These two non-metals are essential for plant growth. Crackers. Sulfur and phosphorus are used in firecrackers. Children, let us discuss the difference between metals and non-metals. The study of metals and non-metals is very important in the study of chemistry. The basic difference between the metals and non-metals is discussed in the image below. Metals. Metals are solids at room temperature except for mercury, which is a liquid at room temperature. Non-metals. Non-metals exist in all three states, that is solid, liquid and gases. Then come to the metals. Metals are generally very hard except for sodium, potassium and mercury. And come to the non-metals are generally soft in nature except diamond and graphite, which are solid in nature. Metals are measurable and ductile in nature. Non-metals are brittle in nature and can break into pieces if struck by a hammer. Metals are electropositive in nature. Non-metals are electronegative in nature. Metals have high densities and non-metals have very low densities. Metals are lustrous in nature and non-metals are non-lustrous in nature. Children, metals and non-metals can be differentiated easily by knowing their physical properties like boiling point, melting point, ductility, malleability, thermal conductivity, and chemical properties like electronegativities, etc. Oxidizing and reducing properties, corrosion properties, etc. These distinguish features that help in differentiating metals and non-metals is metals like aluminium and copper is a high thermal and electrical conductivity, whereas non-metals like sulfur and phosphorus metals are the insulators. Some examples of metals including copper, silver, gold, platinum, aluminium, iron, nickel, etc. These are the examples of metals, and examples of non-metals are oxygen, nitrogen, potassium, sulfur, etc. Thank you.